Muhammad, Mr. Hammad.
Yes.
It's very nice to have you today. So, to start off, how do you see the e-commerce sector growing in the Middle East region?
Well, I think it's something that has exponentially grown in the past few years. It's slowly catching up with the rest of the world, but one of the things that really differentiates it from the rest of the world is kind of the buying power and the population of the young people over here, which is a lot. So, for example, Saudi Arabia, the place where I come from, has almost 70% young population, and because all of them have been used to this Netflix, Facebook, and Twitter way of doing things, it's what they expect from different retailers.
I agree. So now, how do you think the challenges of e-commerce in, say, Saudi Arabia or the Middle East region are different from the challenges the rest of the world faces?
So I think if you take Middle East in particular, it's kind of like almost 5 to 10 years behind where North America is, and the challenges are sort of the same ways. For example, supply chain, the basics of supply chain, and getting that part of the journey right is like one of the fundamental challenges that every e-commerce starting company faces. Secondly, getting the technology right, all of the touch points, and integrating them all together, which is something that is the biggest challenge, which a lot of the industries or a lot of traditional players that are recently getting into e-commerce face. I guess it's more or less the same, but one of the biggest things is this whole point of trusting the e-commerce world, right? So for a lot of us here in the Middle East, it's something that has recently started to catch up, but it's still just slightly moved away from that early adopter stage, but still not there with the late bloomers, right? So it's kind of in the middle ground. So that trust also plays a major role.
Also, I mean, as we've seen that in the Middle East region, all these retail sectors, they're very organized, right?
Right.
So you know exactly where to go to buy certain product. So is that or does that pose a threat to the online sector?
I think it complements the online sector, if you want to put it. But at the end of the day, it's all about what the customer finds the most convenience in, right? So if the customer is basically, and that's what is like sort of happening, the way Souk is taking over the large electronic stores, the way Noon is also coming up, and all of that investment fund money being put into e-commerce is just because of the simple fact that e-commerce kind of adds the convenience factor. So I think the threat is the other way around. The e-commerce is kind of threatening the retail businesses, and I guess that's something that they have to adapt to.
So you very rightly mentioned how Souk and all these e-commerce sectors are taking over your traditional brick and mortar stores. So do you think that how rent is extremely expensive and it's moving higher and higher year after year? Do you think that is a reason why it's like a big nudge for people to shift towards online stores now?
So I think there's a common misconception with e-commerce is that you kind of get you don't need a showroom, you don't need a warehouse. All you need to do is like you get basically a warehouse, get a system set up, and that's like next day you start making money. And that's not the reality, right? The reality is that there's a lot of stuff that goes into, and there's a lot of additional costs that goes into making a sustainable e-commerce business, right? So I feel that it's the biggest factor is again the convenience that people have, the power that they have, the way their voice is heard on e-commerce is quite different. Again, it all comes back at the end of the day. We don't come here to like play with technology or do a lot of things with the buzzwords, but we come to kind of make the best experience possible for the customers. And I think e-commerce is a great way for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just one last question. So, you think events like what we had today are gonna help? How do you think these events are gonna help the industry grow further?
I think greatly because what these events allow people to do is kind of get all of the thought leaders in one place and share their experience. So if somebody in the audience is basically looking to start up an e-commerce, is basically not going to make all of those mistakes that other people have already made in the past. So it accelerates the growth of the region in general for the e-commerce. And I guess the line of speakers that we have at this Infinity event is amazing because a lot of them come with years of experience in e-commerce from different parts of the world. So I guess that will help accelerate the growth.
Understood.
All right,
Thank you
thank you.